is responsible for the killings in his state and who are the victims and what is the actual motive and purpose, so that we can now put pressure on the federal government to say, please, you need to act. Why is it that the federal government, through security agencies, are not telling us exactly who was responsible for the killings of 160 people 2 weeks ago and responsible for the killing of 30 people today? How come Nigeria is the only country where people are killed in these large numbers and all you hear is government or non-government? I don't know anywhere in the world, you're a journalist, you monitor conflicts all over the world. I don't know anywhere in the world where killings happen and nobody can tell you exactly who is responsible and who are the victims. From the First World War to the Second World War to the genocide in Rwanda to even the genocides in the Balkans, we are told, everybody, it was on record who was responsible and who the victims were. It's a standard reportage. Nigeria is the only country I know of in the entire universe where killings happen and everybody is mute. The governor cannot tell you by simple intelligence, which is open in any case, because the victims can easily tell you who the assailants are, at least survivors. We've not been able to fathom or decipher or mention either a group or individuals or a tendency that's responsible for this, which makes it difficult for analysts like us to provide solutions. If the people involved are not telling us who is responsible for killing them, either for political correctness or whatever, what am I supposed to say here?
Indeed.
What am I supposed to say about this issue? I'll give you a simple example. In Kogi State, for example, when Yabelo became governor in 2016, we had a problem of rampant kidnapping. I mean, it was a norm in Kogi. I was even a victim. By this time, 8 years ago, I was just being released by my doctors. Because remember, I was released a few days to his inauguration as governor in 2016, about the same time. So it was a norm. Kogi was like overrun by, Now, we also had an additional problem of having a cell of Boko Haram in Kogi State, particularly in the central district where Yabelo comes from, which happens to my house in the central district. When this young man became governor, the first thing he did was identify clearly that first, among his kinsmen, his ethnic group, and in his local government, he made it open, he made an open declaration that his kinsmen, some elements among his kinsmen, are the major purveyors of kidnappings in this state. He admitted and said, my Ebira people are responsible. Our youth have taken to kidnapping because they have refused to do certain other things to earn a decent living. And what did he do? Because of this acknowledgement, he moved the entire security architecture of the state to his local government and to his hometown and started the raid and the security operation with surgical precision that didn't record any collateral damage because he was focused on what he wanted to do. And he was able to rid that part of the state substantially of this kind of elements. He did that because he identified it clearly. Secondly, when there were 1 or 2 attacks in the state that looked like ISWAP-related attacks, he also told the army headquarters that there are Islamists in my state operating. So send in troops to come in and help me to flush them out. And I can assure you, a sustained pressure, which pressure was placed on this group that pushed them to the fringes. And each time they act, they are easily detected. Like when they acted in Ondo, for example, with collaboration of the state government of Kogi and the defense headquarters, it was easily detected and they traced those who left Kogi to go to that church in Ondo to go and attack members. I remember the week that attack happened, I was sort of saying it here until the defense headquarters announced that these are the supporters. Before I came and said it is true, they are the ones. This is an aspect of leadership that is lacking in Plateau as we speak. Let us go to Benue. You can call Otom any name you like to call him. When the security in Benue became rife, Otom identified the group he said was responsible. That group didn't deny responsibility, but only said they did it because of the passage of a law in that state that they said denied them access to land and all of that. But at least we now knew who the culprits were. So we directed our advocacy, our call for action towards the appropriate quarter. And after many years of hesitating, somehow pressure was brought to bear and some actions took place in Benue. Even though the presidency kept blaming the man of ethnic profiling or whatever. But at least there was focus on Benue and this issue involving killer herdsmen as the case may be. Now we have Boko Haram in the northeast. After initial denial and all of that, it was identified that, look, this is an Islamist group. And so the government is not even applying the radicalization programs to make sure that they roll back the preponderance of radicalization that has created willing recruits for this insurgent group. That's an acknowledgement of the root causes. Why is Governor Mutfwang of Plateau not able to open his mouth and tell us these are the people responsible, these are the victims, and this is the pattern of killing that suggests
so it needs to go beyond just that vague is an act of terrorism.
That's what I can say today about Plateau killing, as painful as it is, because he that is the governor of the state has not said anything. And if I say something that I think it is, I will be accused of manufacturing or conjuring up facts about the matter. He has to come out and help his people by speaking out. Tell the world what is responsible, who is responsible. I keep making the reference of Rwanda. If the world did not know that Hutus were responsible for the genocide in Rwanda against the Tutsis, how would the world have reasoned together to stop it? How? Right now, Israelis, the Jewish state of Israel, is waging a war against the Arab state of Palestine. Ethnic and geographic, clearly defined. And so the world is saying, okay, even if Hamas, threw the first punch. But what you are now responding with is like a sledgehammer to kill an ant. So please, can we have a ceasefire? Because we know the clear lines of division and conflict. You don't tell me that the group will enter a community and kill 30 people because they want to do mining. It is that's some words I don't use on air. But it's senseless to say that. You should know what
but is there nothing to interrogate in that aspect? Because even the minerals that they are talking about, I know that there are pockets of area within Plateau used to be the home of solid minerals. Tin, tantalite and the likes back in the day.
Just as a city, did you record one single death throughout the period of tin mining industry? When tin mining was the in thing. Iron ore has been mined in my community, where you have it at the iron ore mining company to feed the Abuja steel plant. For as long as I can remember, not one person has been killed because of that. I can tell you something today. Mining is not responsible for insurgency or terrorism in Zamfara. It is not.
Well, that's the narrative coming from there.
It's a false narrative. What is responsible is the fact that kidnapping for ransom is a very lucrative business that has no consequences on the perpetrators. Simple. Nobody deceiving. It's not responsible for it. We stop weaving conflict around issues that don't exist and now deflect from the real issue. It's a simple failure of enforcement of law and order, and particularly the failure of the last administration, who decided that the activities of killer herdsmen, particularly in the Northwest, was a function of two fighting between Hausas and Fulanis. And then we asked, why should anybody fight to the point of killing each other in the first instance? And when you are commander-in-chief, why are you giving a pretext or an excuse for a barbaric kind of human behavior when you should be enforcing law and order to prevent the killing of anybody from any of the sides as citizens of Nigeria? It was because of that unwillingness to take concrete action that these guys became so emboldened, that they became so rich. Let me tell you, between 2015 and 2018, more than $80 million was realized by these bandits from abductions. From the Kaduna train attack alone, of nearly $6 billion was said to have been realized, mostly hard currency. So they have rearmed themselves and they have continued and they're expanding. So what is what happened in Abuja today was an expansion of this terror network. Because there are no consequences. There's no consequences for what they are doing. It is very easy. So any enterprise that is that easy and lucrative will definitely get people to continue to engage in it, to make more money. That is the issue. So how do you wage a war against terror to make sure that this is no longer the case? To make sure that you can no longer abduct anybody in Nigeria and go scot-free. That should be the focus of government. Stop telling me about mining. Stop telling us about politics. What nonsense.
Or land grabbing and all of those.
Stop all these excuses. 30 people have died today that will not be brought back to life. I tell you, it's land grabbing. Is this the minister of
solid mineral
came out to say that highly plausible? So if you know there are highly
he was saying yesterday when he visited the oil
if
bombing.
you know as a minister who is an appointee of the president and who is exercising authority on behalf of the president, meaning that when the minister speaks or acts, is acting as president, that is president speaking. You are telling me as a citizen that you know people that are responsible.
He said he's been threatened also.
He's been threatened. So if these people have overwhelmed us to the point that they're threatening an appointee of the president at the level of the cabinet, then maybe we should just call them for the conference and hand over Nigeria to them to take over. Look at what happened in Ibadan. A blast took place that destroyed almost an entire part of the city. The image of Ibadan looked like what we saw in Gaza. Do that up till now, neither the minister of solid minerals, the IGP of police, the defense headquarters, the presidency, has come out to tell us who was responsible for whatever it was that happened there. Do you know we've not gotten a clear report on that?
All the
government only volunteered the bit that say illegal miners and they are foreigners. And that was
the
all.
Malians, yeah.
How can you not tell a country, inform a nation, who was responsible for the level of destruction as though Nigeria was bombarded by an atomic weapon? And you cannot tell Nigerians, you can't even tell us, something is wrong. You can't even tell us clearly who was responsible and the actions you've taken immediately to bring the person to book for storing explosives that are meant for probably mining activities in a residential area against our explosive laws, rules, and regulations. Nobody has told us anything. We saw the governor bringing a report all the way to Abuja to give it to the president, and that was the end of it. No responsibility. Nobody has been sanctioned. Nothing has been announced. This is not acceptable. So there's nothing we as analysts can do beyond what we're doing now, because those that are supposed to tell us what happened, for us to now analyze and provide solutions, have not told us. This is what the media should be interrogating now. Why are people not telling us who is responsible? Have you seen anywhere in the world where crime takes place and nobody is responsible? Recently, arising from the Gaza-Israel war, the Houthis have been firing missiles across the Red Sea into the Suez Canal, which is like the largest, cargo between the East and West, is mostly concentrated along that route. Now, it was easily detected that it was Houthi rebels from Yemen that are responsible.
We'll take it off from there after this very quick break. Stay with 95.1 Nigeria Info.
Get ready to take your taste buds on an
Audio Jungle.
Hello, my name is Kimberly. I'm the host of Hard Facts, and I bring you the biggest stories driving conversation every weekday here on 95.1 Nigeria Info Hard Fact Show. I love to get your opinion and conjectures, but the facts you cannot dispute here on Hard Facts. Join me and let's talk.
This is Nigeria Info.
Nigeria Info.
Connection established. This is Nigeria Info.
Nigeria Info.
This is Nigeria Info.
Nigeria Info.
This is Nigeria Info.
Nigeria Info.
is Nigeria Info.
Nigeria Info.
This is Nigeria Info.
Nigeria Info.
This is Nigeria Info.
In 2016, before the American elections, there was an attack on a nightclub, a gay nightclub, and America traced the shooter to ISWAP. Sorry, ISIS as at that time. Nigeria is the version of ISWAP is the Nigerian version of ISIS. To ISIS, Islamic State of Iraq and Syria. To say, look, he was influenced by this group. And so he sat behind his computer, followed their literature, and became radicalized and started to carry action in line with their state. So they were able to use some of this information to plug holes to prevent much more of such attacks. Let me give you another example. Sometime, I think a year or two ago, I've forgotten the name of the city in the US now, that is heavily populated by Muslims. And to discover that in the space of maybe a few months, about 5 Muslims have been shot dead, mostly in their cars or those coming out of their cars. That raised an alarm bell to say probably there is a hate crime going on in this city against Muslims. And so all security measures were now directed towards that possibility, that probability to say this pattern looks like Muslims have been targeted in America, particularly in this city. And so let us watch out for any red flag that indicates a hate-motivated crime against people of this particular faith. That is how security works, because you need the information, the identity. If you go to the police station here in Nigeria, if you matter, you're making a complaint or you're being profiled as a suspect, your religion, your age, say everything, you write it down. Because it helps law enforcement to understand the sociology behind this crime you are committing. I've gone to length to say, why would you be worried about the fact that nobody is speaking about the identity of the assailant? It's because, how can you tell that the state governor declared coffee in a community, and there were disturbances during the day, and the security agency didn't take proactive measures to prevent killings of up to 30 people during the night? Something is fishy. Something doesn't just add up.
I mean, at that point, it's mind-boggling, because if you're constraining people and telling them don't move, don't leave for 24 hours, is to say that we've got this under control.
So how
did they infiltrate?
So who are these people that are always able to break our line of defense, if any exists anyway? And current these activities go away. Not one of them is arrested. Not all of them have been prosecuted. And nobody's willing to name them. Something is wrong. Are they bigger than the state, or what is the state afraid of? Now I'm saying the governor of Plateau has a bigger blame here. He's playing policy of convenience with the lives and properties of his people. And he cannot continue to behave like an innocent. He needs to speak up. At least speak up. Then let the world, let all of us know what is happening.
But would that also bring some sort of defense? I mean, taking us back to the last administration and the former governor of Benue State, where he profiled and identified and said categorically, point blank, these are the people killing people in this environment with numbers. And we saw how that one,
because the president then, I will say it, I'm going to say it today, I said it then. We had a president, Nigeria was unfortunate to have a president, a leader, who decided to elevate his ethnicity over and above his Nigerian citizenship, and made sure that any attempt to identify these people, even using regulatory bodies in the media, they tried to shut us off from mentioning that word, killer herdsmen, of mostly Fulani ethnicity, as if it was a crime. But we could identify IPOB as Igbo, and there was no problem. We could identify Nigerian militants as Ijo or Urubo, there was no problem. We could identify OPC militants in Lagos that killed people, a lot of people from northern Nigeria as Yoruba, and there was no problem. But you could not mention this. And while they were playing the ostrich, this guy struck at home. Katsina was overrun by this same sort of people. The entire Northwest today is under siege by this sort of people. They no longer respect boundaries. It started as though it was we versus them. And we keep telling people then that as far as you are in Nigeria, there's no we versus them in Nigeria. The Ijo, the Tiv, the Fulani, the Hausa are all Nigerians of the same citizenship. And so enforcement of law and order should be applied equally across board. A Fulani man should not be able to kill a Tiv man. A Tiv man should not be able to kill a Fulani man. But the presidency then, even when the Southwest governors attempted to take their own destiny to their hands, the presidency was writing to those state governor, and there was a crossfire of correspondence as if Nigeria was existing for the purpose of cattle and cattle breeders. That was the level that president reduced this country. And it had a negative impact in his own homestead, his own home region. That today is even difficult to root out. And that the one spreading up into Abuja and it's on the fringes. It's a set of people because their modus operandi is the same.
Well, there might be other criminal elements. I mean,
When
they
it
arrested
comes to-
one
when it comes
Chinaza,
to-
so it tells you that
Now,
the dynamics of the crime has come in.
Chinaza was openly profiled. Fantastic and kudos. It was told us, we are told that Chinaza lived in life camp, which means that you have urban kidnappers that are not necessarily bandits, that stay within even high-profile communities, car surveillance, and they don't tell us the identity of the person they abducted, and where the person was working. Every details we are given. Fantastic. That helps to solve crime. So people that are living in life camp now will now know how to get their loins. We have kidnappers living in this highbrow area. We want to see the same of this other group. That is the point I'm making. Now, again, I do not know responsible for the killings in Plateau, but I'm saying you can't kill 30 people overnight. Let me tell you, even in full-blown wars, even in conventional warfare, if you know the amount of shelling and expending of ammunition that will lead to 30 deaths, you will be surprised. It could take you a week or 2 weeks or even 3 weeks of intensive fighting in civilian population. At least you're not shooting to a civil population to record 30 deaths, even in 2 weeks. It's that difficult. So the kind of massacre that would have taken place, undisturbed, unperturbed, that will claim 30 lives overnight, tells you the intensity or the firepower of the assailant. And the Nigerian state is not able to tell us who is responsible. The individuals, the groups, their motives, what they're after, what they want to achieve. The state cannot tell us something is wrong. And the media should ask the government, both in the state and the federal level, to tell us who keep people
because so far it's just one analyst after another who is saying different stuff
things.
as to what's happening. No categorical statement from the government or security agencies as to what really is behind all of the incessant attacks.
Before somebody accuses me, as usual, of bias, on this program, I've forgotten. When I popped the clear seat at home in the Southeast, what was my reaction? If you remember?
No, I recall vividly. You called it out.
I said, this one is like cutting your nose to spite your face.
Exactly.
And there's nothing that's happened to today that I didn't predict throughout that period. Some people saw it as, why am I trying to go against Igbo? I said, there's no Igbo agenda in whatever anybody is doing by way of declaring or sit at home in the Southeast on a Monday, your most important day, when the whole country comes to that region to buy and transact businesses. Such a person does not wish you well. The Southeast has got calling meeting today in the Southeast to say, how can we do to end sit at home? We saw it then. When Hausas were killed in Ibadan, I came on this station. I went to an AIT. I wrote about it in my weekly column. I called out the Yoruba people of Ibadan to say, you killed your host, your guest. You are the host community. Why did that happen? But I also commended the governor of Ondo, the late Akeredolu, and the governor of Oyo himself, who came out to say, this is not in line with our character. And they took responsibility. And they blamed and faulted the people for attacking members of the Hausa community in their markets. And I remember saying that the Hausas, like many other Nigerians, Tiv, Urobo, all Nigerians, but the Hausas, particularly of this incident, are among the most hardworking, law-abiding, faithful, honest Nigerians I have come across. So I do not see them as a troublesome group that deserves to be attacked under any guise. They are only concerned with their merchandise. They do some of the most difficult jobs for a very small profit. Without them, I don't know how our economy would have been in this country. So I was particularly pained when such a group was attacked because of certain carryovers of maybe certain. But the good thing is the leadership of that state
swung into action.
They took action. In another state too, there was an incident that took place when, in trying to enforce sit at home by separatist militants that are mostly of Igbo ethnicity, killed the Hausa woman and her 4 children. In Mother State,
I recall.
I called out the Anambra State government to say, this looks like a targeted killing of a particular group. This should not be allowed to go unpunished. Something must be done to show that, okay, this was not targeted though, and maybe it was just a general enforcement that the person that shot may not have known. The government of Anambra took proactive steps. That was when I realized that the Seriki Asawa of Onitsha was born in Onitsha and he was over 70 years old. The governor invited him to the government house and the members of the Hausa community to do appropriate apology. And they took responsibility. So they provided financial support to the family and promised a lot of things and kind of gained an assurance that Anambra is your home and we will never allow anybody to target you as bona fide residents of Anambra State that are citizens of Nigeria. That is because there was an identification of, okay, this has crossed from one ethnicity to the other, so something needed to be done. So we didn't see actions from the north or another place as by way of reprisals, and there was peace. You cannot tell me that 30 persons were killed after 160 bodies were counted the last time after that attack. And the federal government and the state government cannot tell us exactly who's responsible.
All right. Who is responsible? What really is going on? What is the motive? A lot of questions, very little answers coming from the right authorities at this point in time. And that's the question our guest is asking. Who is responsible? What is the motive? The government needs to share that and get to the root of whatever it is going on in that state, because it has gone on for too long. We'll open up the phone line to get your input on the conversation we've looked at, and we'll get into a different story just before the news at the top of the hour. Feel free to call us via WhatsApp only. That's the only line, as a matter of fact, that is connecting now. So you can call 0809 9930 137. 0809 9930 137, or you can send us a message via WhatsApp. Hello. Good afternoon.
Hello. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, the guest.
Good afternoon, sir.
Hello, are you hearing me?
Yes, we can. Go ahead, sir.
Yes, I'm greeting my brother there. We are saying the truth. That is the truth. See, down.
What's your name, sir?
There. My name is Aziz Hassan from Cuba.
Go ahead, Aziz.
That guest is my brother. We know you to hide the truth. We not fear. They say, my people say, they know they die 2 times. He's saying the truth, the whole truth. So the people, the government and the federal government and the state government, they know about it. So they should settle themselves. In Kogi, we settle our own issue and everything is settled. So they know what is going on there. The government should settle it. That's my talk.
Thank you very much, Aziz. All right, then. Let's hear another caller. We're waiting for that call to come through. Okay, it's in already. Hello?
Hello, good afternoon, the Oracle.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to Mr. Majeed. I greet you, sir.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, sir.
You know, that day at the Nigerian Info, I couldn't come to greet you because we were both mourning and the crowd. I just say, I want to appreciate you for everything, sir. What you say is the truth, sir. I remember when El-Rufai was in kind of talk against Jonathan, when he was saying that Jonathan knows. As of then, he said he was the minister of FCT. He gave the report weekly. And he said all these criminals need to be identified. Why is it that the federal government and the state governor still up to now can't identify these criminals that will come and kill innocent people and go unabated? We remember what happened on 24 December. Almost 200 people lost their lives. Now we are still talking of losing about 30 people. And still up to now, we don't know who are these people. The governor, the state governor and the federal government need to come out clearly and tell Nigerians who are these criminals perpetrating this evil in this country. Thank you for giving me the privilege. Now go there.
Thank you very much, Salasi. All right, let's hear another caller quickly. Hello? Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Welcome to the show. What's your name?
Dr. Majeed, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon,
My name
sir.
is Gideon Covenant.
Go ahead.
Yes. To me, I don't think the issue here is identification, because I could remember during El-Rufai's regime, he came up to say that he knows these guys, and he went on to negotiate with them. And I can remember the first Katsina State governor still did negotiation, and Zamfara State governor, and then Sheikh Gumi still claimed that he knows these guys and he was their spokesman. So why are we talking about negotiation when there are people who know where these guys are but couldn't kind of release security?
No, my brother, my brother, please. This is the reason why I say the governor of Plateau should tell us who are the ones responsible for his own state crisis. Like rightly mentioned, El-Rufai told us who was responsible. His approach was faulted, but he told us these are the people responsible. We are brought in from all over the Sahel to come and fight a reprisal war in Southern Kaduna because a few years back, some other people in Southern Kaduna killed the people of the same ethnic stock and their cattle were also destroyed.
Yeah.
Fine. We knew what the problem was, but we only said your solution was not the right solution. In Katsina, the governor threw up his hands and said, these are the people responsible for the crisis in my state. In Zamfara, the former governor said, these are the people responsible, but I want to dialogue with them. But at least he identified them. Gumi has also identified people responsible for most of the North Central and Northwestern regional insurgency and terrorism. Why is the governor of Plateau not willing and able to do like El-Rufai did, like Masari did, like Mutawale did, to say, okay, this one happened in my state too. These are the people responsible. We don't know yet. You can't assume that the people responsible in Kaduna are responsible in Plateau. We can't assume that now because the one has not told us. That's the problem.
All right. Gilo, you want to wrap up your thoughts quickly? Gilio Covenant. Oh, okay then. Hello?
Hello.
Yes, you're welcome.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. You're welcome to the show.
This is Sunshine.
Oh, Sunshine. Welcome back. Oh dear, Sunshine. It feels like your network. I know you're calling from outside the country, but the network is unhelpful. Uh-oh. Sunshine, please call us back. Hello?
Yes, good afternoon, Madam Swat. Madam Kim.
Good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon, Dr. Majeed.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yes, this is Omotayo calling from Galadima.
Go ahead.
You see, concerning what we're discussing, this issue of insecurity, and they're not coming out to name the group that are in charge of or that are involved in this killing, is because nobody's head is rolling when these things happen. Nigeria has become a country where we just come and discuss what is not supposed to be the head topic of discussion. We are supposed to be demanding who is in charge of securing that local government, that area. Is it the police? Is it the army? Their head need to be sacked for another person to replace him. The next time the next person replaces him, we make sure the security is provided in that area. You see, we are not supposed to be discussing this thing. If people's head are rolling when things like this happen, it should not be an issue. So that's what it is. We should stop even looking at the governor should name anybody. The governor should penalize who is supposed to protect those people from these bandits.
You see, that is the reason I'm telling you that the governor's unwillingness to name names and the federal government's unwillingness to name them is the reason why they are not making out sanctions on the people that are supposed to secure lives and properties. Particularly in the area that curfew was declared. Now we need to interrogate. Why are you not even able to just name? Why can't you just identify people that are responsible or you suspect to be responsible? Then we can now tell you as analysts.
Because are we even getting arrested enough?
That is the point. So now, what are you going to do? What are you going to suggest for them to do about the situation when those involved that should tell you, even the simple task of telling you who is responsible, they are not telling you. Is it the simple that you can rely on to sanction people that are not able to carry out their responsibilities as security agencies?
Dr. Majeed, I want to advise the people of Plateau State to come out and begin to call the name of their governor to name these people or provide the name of whoever is supposed to provide security for them in those areas. And that
got to say.
Exactly.
I mean, something is just not adding up about it.
Mm-hmm. That's it.
All right, Omotaya, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I appreciate that. What really is going on? Big question. Hello.
Hello, good afternoon, Kim.
Good afternoon, welcome.
Thank you. My name is Mrs. Chukwu. I'm calling from Lugbe.
Welcome, Mrs. Chukuma.
Thank you, man. You see, the insecurity in Nigeria is becoming something. It's no longer funny anymore. I think this morning or yesterday, I was doing on the news, about 4,000 people are about to jackpot from Nigeria in 2 weeks. Everybody is feeling unsafe. People are running. I don't know why our government has decided to be quiet over this issue. See Plateau State, 24th December, people that bought their Christmas rice, their meat were slaughtered in Nigeria, and up till now, nobody has been held responsible. I don't know where we're going to, but I just pray that God will deliver us from this thing that we are in, because at this time, I don't even want to think about it, because that's me a lot. You are in a country where you will sleep, you are not sure of your safety tomorrow. You will go out, you are not sure, somebody will tell you, and will happen. It's no longer for because the way things are going now, maybe they will allow us to thank God, everybody will be protecting itself. I have a business I do. I go out of my house every morning by 5:30 a.m. But since all this insecurity started, I don't go out that early. I had to renegotiate with people I'm doing business with. I say, let's keep it at this time, 6 o'clock, 6:30. Okay? It's because I don't feel safe. I can't go home and not come back to my lovely family that I left behind. So please, the federal government of Nigeria should have mercy on us. We are begging them. Although it's their responsibility, but since they are not seeing their responsibility, we are begging that they should please, for the sake of the poor masses on the streets that don't have security. We know they can afford security. Our big men can afford security. Their children can afford security. But I cannot afford one because I cannot pay. So please, they should have mercy on us. We are begging them.
All right.
Mr. Majeed, God bless you, sir. We really
Very
appreciate
much. May God bless you too.
And God will bring you to limelight where God will bring you to a point where you will be our voices in Nigeria. Thank you, sir. Have a
Thank
nice
you very
day.
much. May God bless you.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Chukuma, for that. And let's quickly look at some comment. Warrior Jonathan says, Mr. Dr. Majeed, for always calling a spade, I pray for divine protection over your life. And Godwin Sani Chibiyojo. All right, welcome, Dr. Majeed. Kimberly, I've never tuned hardly tuned my radio to Nigerian Info since Debbie's demise. May God strengthen you all. Thank you very much. Ezekiel Akpan Odong, what a country. And he went on to say, absolutely correct. I'll look at more of your comment on Facebook in a bit. Let's see here. Tyre said it all. All the security heads in and around that area should be sacked as the only deterrent for the next commandant that takes over. Daniel from Asokoro. Good afternoon to our guests. Do you know why I so much love Governor Yabelo of Kogi State? It's because of his boldness. As a governor, you're in charge, so you must take charge. You don't need to identify. All you need is nail it down and bury it for good. Plateau State governor needs to be bold like Yabelo of Kogi State, period. Kumade from Kubwa sent that one in. Ambik from Guag says the government and politicians in the state and federal level know who the perpetrators of these heinous crimes. They don't want us to know, so they tag them as gunmen. Politics in the hands of politicians in Nigeria is a craft and a cunning tool used solely for the purpose of satisfying personal political interest, including politically appointed security chiefs. Nigerians should know these and beware of their gimmicks. Elaine Martin says that whenever I hear you speak, I feel hopeful. And that's High Chief Dr. Majeed. Hopeful that Nigeria may get better anytime in the near future. He also lays his analysis very bare for easy understanding, doesn't hide any truth no matter the threats. He's, a great personality. I've come to trust his view and direction on issues bordering Nigeria. Kudos to our analyst. Thank you very much. And says, may Debbie so rest in peace. We say amen to that. Geronimo from Duse Alaji. I think our government is intelligent. Their intelligence community lacks the tradecraft to dismantle these complex rings. It takes a lot to identify them as just either common criminals or multiple organized crime units outwitting our forces, maiming and destroying lives and property. We need proper tacticians instead of employing politicians in national security position. Go ahead.
I want to say something. In 2020, a list came out of the US of wire fraud stars in the US. Almost 100 names, wire fraudsters. People that, what you call Yahoo here, that are operating in the US. So Nigerians are notorious for that in the US. First, the Americans identify Nigerians as some of the most biggest players in this particular industry. So there is usually a searchlight on Nigerians.
Yeah.
So, but then the fact that among Nigerians too, because if you look at that list, more than 80% of the list are names of Nigerians from Southeast origin, Igbo people. Now, I had a conversation with two senior Igbo journalists when this matter happened. They called me for a report of my comment on it. And because, I didn't want to sound as though, you don't belong to a demography, you are not able to speak the way you can speak, the way I speak about my own demography. So I was a bit, diplomatic. So after the official commentary, he told me, look, I called because I know you are very blunt. This problem is a cultural problem amongst our people of the South. There's this material or cultural materialism that has crept over time that is putting pressure on young men to make money at all costs. And he gave me the stories of just go to this during the Christmas period and see the kind of oppression. So you understand why young men wants to just make the kill. So, and that he wants me to begin to help enlighten. It is an Igbo man telling me this. The second one told me the same thing, and that they've started doing certain things at home to make your girls respect retired teachers, retired civil servants, and give them the same respect that are supposed to give people that are materially wealthy. That is a cultural renaissance of some sort to tackle the root causes. But guess what? In the US, the authorities also know that it's not just Nigerians that are doing this, but there's a preponderance of Nigerians of Igbo-speaking descent that are involved. So what did the law enforcement in the US do? They trained black American police officers in Igbo language to be able to pretend to be Nigerians of Igbo origin, to infiltrate the syndicate and bust them from within. And I watched clips of, those that were busted, that were tried and jailed, who came out to announce, we have turned a new leaf. And that was the documentary that revealed that, look, a lot of police officers were amongst them who pretended to be Igbo because they have learned the language. Because the law enforcement discovered that this language, these people that speak this particular language are prevalent. This is not to dedicate the ethnic group. It's taking responsibility. And so that's how they're able to bust and still busting them because they were able to infiltrate. Between 1999 and 2007, Mrs. Eke Igbenedion, the wife of the former Edo State Governor, Chief Lucky Igbenedion, carried out massive reorientation and re-awareness campaign in Edo State against human trafficking to Europe for sex trade. You knew the image of Edo State before that period.
Yeah.
As an Edo woman herself, she got the then Oba of Benin, Oba Erediawa, His Majesty, to actually use his traditional authority and influence to kind of effect and influence a cultural reorientation that removes some of this embellishment that encourages this particular action. And it was successful. We saw a lot of TV programs and ads that we had, turn out drama series to reorientate people against this particular practice. I didn't hear people in all of this instance shouting ethnic profiling. No. There was an acknowledgement that, this is a problem among our demography. Nobody in his right senses will think that every Edo person is involved. No. Yeah. But we know that, there is a disproportionate number amongst. Nigeria is the only country recently that to speak the truth about an issue that's as deadly as can take people's lives in these numbers has become a national offense. Nobody wants to talk about it. Again, I cannot speak too much about who is responsible or what is happening in Plateau until the state governor, at least the first thing the governor should do when something happens like this, within 24 hours, you have at least given a preliminary report on the likely assailant, the suspected assailant, their victims and the motive. While investigation continues.
Is it possible so as not to stir the people up towards a reprisal of some sort?
You see, in a country, when 9/11 happened, they are wearing reprisals against Muslims in America. Because law enforcement will not allow you to carry a reprisal against a Muslim who wasn't the one who bombed World Trade Center. Yes.
But Nigeria is peculiar, though.
That is part of the failure of the state that we're trying to address. It's part of it. So nobody should carry a battle against any demography just because somebody of his own kind did this. No. The reason why we ask for profiling is to know the modus operandi. You understand how they do it. How they're able to come in and go. The route they take. You have to understand these things. Yes. If you look at the Igbo kidnapper in Lagos, Evans, is it Evans they call him? That one that was. Because he was Igbo, his main targets were actually Igbos. Because he lived amongst them. He knows those who had money. He had a network among them. And so he was just kidnapping those very wealthy Igbo people around the area asking for hard currencies in ransom. But when it was discovered, there was an evidence trail to say, see, this is why he was able to do this successfully because he was part of this demography.
And he knows.
Simple. Nobody cried to say, don't call him an Igbo man. Don't call him an Igbo. Don't call him kidnapper. No. We need to understand why he was able to pull off this level of criminality with success over these years. While looking very innocent.
Well, do you think it's one challenge that the government of the day, federal and state, is ready to take on? Because the last administration, we knew how, complex it got in trying to identify and other underplays.
The government of the outgoing government, like I told you, we had a president that has elevated ethnic, religious, and
we recognize that, but do you think this government can?
An unprecedented height in the history of Nigeria. But what the present administration is afraid of is what I don't know. And I'm saying, Mr. President, when in 2001, OPC, a Yoruba militant group, attacked Hausa community in Lagos, we had a Yoruba president who came out to identify them as a Yoruba militant group and asked his Yoruba IGP to fire upon them without even shoot at sight. Don't bother to arrest them. If they disarrest, just shoot them and kill them. Yes. And it happened. It quelled the situation. And he arrested the kingpin of that group, Fred Fashewu, and his other collaborator, Gani Adams, and dumped them inside DSS detention facility. and left them there. Because when they brought them to court, they were bailed. So when the next time they arrested them, they didn't give them bail for a long time. And the next time I saw Gani Adams out of detention, he became an analyst on TV, a sports analyst for that matter, because he knows that Kaki is not led that, because the government was serious. A government that was led by his own kinsman. So we didn't see that in the last 8 years. And this matter, particularly in the Northwest and other places, ballooned. We are saying, is it the same problem that we are facing in the Northwest and parts of the North Center that we are facing in Plateau? Governor Caleb Mustwang, open your mouth and say something so that we can now redirect our analysis, our advocacy, our pressure towards the appropriate quarter and the appropriate place for action. Without that, there's nothing I can do.
All right, then. Let's take a quick break for the news at the top of the hour. Dorcas is seated already for the news, and we'll look at other stories and hear more of your comments on this particular one after the news at the top of the hour. Stay with 95.1 Nigeria Info.
This is Nigeria Info.